Now loading Nerdgasm.
You have to get us the out of here! Everyone's gross and they all smell like piss all the time!
Don't judge, Morty. It's the Nerdgasm Podcast.
That's all on YouTube, though, right? I mean, that's where you found that.
With Alan Bailey and Grayson.
I'm ready.
It's a Nerdgasm Podcast on a Memorial Day, 2017. I be Alan Bailey.
And I'm Grayson.
And you're in the third dimension.
It's like I can reach out and touch you.
I know. Reach out. It looks so cool when I wear these 3D glasses that I'm wearing. Oh my gosh! We saw the Pirates of the Caribbean and I saw it in the third dimension. Ah!
I only saw it in 2.
I saw it in the third dimension. I paid for that third dimension and for these crappy glasses that broke twice on me that I had to go get replacements for before the movie even started. I was angry.
One of these days, I do want to try and take advantage of the those little headphones that they provide you.
Oh, they're cool. They just it's if you have a hearing problem. Do you have a hearing problem?
No, but sometimes I have an annoyance problem to where people are just talking behind me.
And you want to crank it in your headset so you don't have to listen.
Exactly.
That's actually not a bad idea.
So,
but what if somebody who has a hearing issue needs them and they don't have a pair because you're being an asshole?
that sounds like the theater's problem.
It is the theater's problem, actually.
Because they should have plenty.
And they actually, having worked at a movie theater for 5 years back in the day, I know that they have, I think it is 50 pair, and they have to adjust the headset per theater, but they have 50 pair, but the question is, do they have the batteries?
Ooh.
Finding batteries was hard in my theater back in the day. I'm going to take these off because seeing you in the third dimension is just...
It's kind of disturbing, right?
It's too much.
It is.
It's too much dick in my face. It's too much dick in my face.
I mean, very carefully, you could potentially get a facial.
Oh, ooh. Yeah. Today on the program, like I said, we saw Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Or, as we like to call it, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Movies Tell No Profit.
Ooh, LaBurn. Bigger issues in the pirate franchise. Disney's got a bomber on their hands. We will talk. Plus, news that broke literally 2 days after we recorded our last episode. Didn't get a chance to talk about it. Zack Snyder leaving Justice League. Whedon coming in. We will talk about that. Tom Holland casted as a young Nathan Drake in Uncharted. I know, you have issues with this. We talk...
Yep. We'll get into that.
And something of a breaking news this past weekend out at Phoenix Comicon, an armed man arrested by local police. We'll talk about it and what changes happened to the Phoenix Comicon over the weekend. And Warner Brothers announcing DC Superhero Girls, the series.
Like live action or animated?
Animated.
Nice.
Looks cool stuff. We talk. Plus some Pirates of the Caribbean news as well as our review with it.
Los Pirates.
Pirates Life.
I used to
do a great Captain Jack.
And now
he
it
got
sounds
crazy.
like Nixon.
Why is everything you guys... Every time I do anything, it somewhat sounds like Nixon. I don't get it.
I don't know. I think it's because you get into that range of your voice and then it bounces.
All I do is talk like Captain Jack and act a little bit drunk.
See, that's a little bit better.
I haven't done... one Halloween I got paid to play Captain Jack, costume and all, at a party, a fancy party. So I got paid quite a bit of money to walk around.
Very cool.
Pretending to be drunk. Wink, wink.
Oh, yeah. Pretending.
I'm a method actor.
Yes. Wait, meth?
Yes. All right, so let's start at the top.
Starting at the top.
Zack Snyder, unfortunately, last episode we were talking about changes that need to happen to the DCEU. We're talking about how we're not a fan of Zack Snyder, and that's kind of been our staple. We think he's part of the issue over at Warner Brothers with the DC movies, and unfortunately, it was announced on, I think it was Monday, or late Monday, that Zack Snyder left Justice League due to a family tragedy. Zack Snyder left, and Joss Whedon coming in to replace him to not only finish the editing process on the movie, but also to direct some reshoots actually that are happening right now actually on the film. So Not a good story. I mean, this is a tragedy. It really is a tragedy because it's Zach and his wife and partner Deborah. Their 20-year-old daughter Autumn unfortunately committed suicide in March of this year, and both heroically, honorably tried to continue as the professionals they are, and really kept going forward with Justice League. But unfortunately, having to leave Los Angeles and leave their home just wasn't in the cards. So they went to Warner Brothers and they said, "Hey, we need to be with our family right now."
Right.
Totally understandable.
Exactly. I mean, that is potentially the right call. And I mean, we've already said that we're not a fan of his recent work, Zack Snyder.
No.
We're not a fan of his recent work, and that's just our personal opinion. And I mean, there is a lot of people that have the same opinion. Mm-hmm. Now, not to say he didn't do a great job with 300.
No, 300 was awesome, but
exactly.
And I loved Watchmen.
Oh yeah,
I really truly did. Just I didn't like Man of Steel. I did not like Batman vs Superman.
Just not our cup of tea.
No, and he just because we don't like his work, his latest 2 films, doesn't mean we don't like him as a human being, and it certainly doesn't mean that we wish harm upon him or his family. Sincerely to Zach and Deborah Snyder and the rest of the Snyder family, our deepest condolences and our thoughts and prayers go out to you guys. The internet just... It was an overwhelming outpour of love and support of this man and this family, which was very cool to see. Yeah, we saw some people go on there, "Oh yeah, you haters, you hated him before, and now you like him all of a sudden."
I was going to say I really disagree with that. There's a difference between hating and there's a difference between paying respects.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, yes, I've already said we were not a fan of his work. It's just it didn't resonate with us.
Yeah.
Now, being a respectable human being and also dealing with loss, I mean, a lot of people have dealt with suicides or loss in the family, and you can kind of understand where he's coming from when that happens. So, I mean, just being a respectful and good human being, just kind of saying your condolences, that doesn't mean that you love him now. It just means that you're being respectful.
Yeah, and he opened up to The Hollywood Reporter, Zack Snyder did, and said, quote, "In my mind, I thought it was a thing to do to get back to work, just to bury myself in it and to see if that was a way through it. The demands of the job are pretty intense. It's all-consuming. And in the last 2 months, I've come to the realization I've decided to take a step back from the movie and be with my family, be with my kids who really need me. They're all having a hard time. I'm having a hard time."
Yeah.
Unquote. And this is a tragedy, period. And just, I don't wish this upon my enemies.
No.
I really don't. I don't wish this upon Trump. And that's saying something. I hate that man.
Yeah.
And I sincerely wish all the best to the Snyders and hope that they can come together as a family and find a way through this tragic moment in their life. And the only thing I ask of fellow listeners and fellow fans and haters, doesn't matter who, if you love or hate the DCEU and what he's done to it, doesn't matter. Just pay the man and his family the respect that they deserve, and they certainly deserve in this tragic time.
Right. And I mean, of course, I don't mean to get super religious or anything like that, but
get religious. Who cares? Do it.
I'm just going to say you treat people the way that you would want them to treat you. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, I've tried to live my life that way, and I mean, it's worked out for me.
Even if you're not religious, that's just like a common thing.
Exactly.
Like, be a nice person to people around you, and people will be nice to you. Don't be a dick.
I know. There's another saying out there. It's easier to attract bees with honey than it is with basically salt water.
This is very true as well. So, I mean, we knew that the reason Whedon was brought in is because he was brought on board into the DCEU to direct Batgirl, and he's kind of doing story development, pre-production on that, and word out of the camp was that he actually had rewritten some of the scenes for Justice League.
Right.
Warner Brothers had asked him to do some rewrites, so he had done some rewrites, and Snyder and the studio agreed, hey, Whedon has experience with this kind of film. He knows how to do these films. He did 2 Avengers movies that made kind of a lot of money. take the time you need with your family. We've got somebody on deck to help us out here. And, I mean, Wheaton's the perfect guy to take over.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
When everybody I've told this story to that hadn't already heard it, I told them Wheaton's on board.
Yeah.
You just, yes! Just that was the reaction. But then I said what the circumstances and,
Yeah. And, I mean, originally when we did hear about the fact that Whedon was going to be jumping over to DC, all of us were excited. We were all looking back at the first Avengers, and also we were looking at Firefly, any of his other movies, or shows even. They were all fantastically done. And now that he's jumping onto Justice League, we're saying, you know what, Warner Brothers, we understand that you have a certain criteria. However, let Whedon have creative control.
I know.
That way he can provide a fan-loved, or a movie that the fans will love.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I see this going two ways with Justice League. Either the movie is going to be greatly received, and people are going to say, it's because Whedon came in at the last moment.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be so-so, like Batman v Superman was, frankly, and people are going to say, see, even Whedon couldn't save it. And here's the fact of the matter. The movie's been shot. They're doing a couple of reshoots for whatever reason. It could be technical issues. It could be sound issues. It could be story issues, like they wanted to fit something in here or delete some of the other scenes, so they had to cram story into other scenes. Could be a number of things through reshoots. And doing reshoots, a handful of reshoot scenes, isn't going to drastically change the movie. It's just going to change details in the movie.
Exactly.
So, you know, if it's good or bad one way or the other, it's not Wheaton's fault or his failure. It's ultimately the story that Zach approved. It's still Zach's movie. He just isn't there to finish it.
He has to take some time in order to kind of reset and rejoin his family. And then after said time, I'm sure he will return and potentially add in his 2 cents to whatever other projects he's going to be able to jump on.
Yeah, and I'm fairly certain that Wheaton's not done over at Warner Brothers. He'll be involved in some capacity, and I'm fairly certain he'll at least watch the final cut of the movie before it gets released to the public.
Oh, yeah.
And his notes, his vision is still there. Wheaton's more or less following it. But that's one theory. It could be that the studio said, you know, Wheaton, it's all yours, go nuts. Who knows, really, at this point. But we do wish the Snyder family all the best. So far, Justice League is still on track for its November 17th, 2017 release date. So
Already.
that is good. This is good. So the other piece of news that you and Zero had interesting reactions to.
Yeah.
Tom Holland, our Spider-Man, cast as a young Nathan Drake in the Uncharted movie.
Yeah, I mean, there are details about the movie, and some of the details that I've read don't make me super happy. And of course, you look at the track record for any movie that's been based off of a video game, has not exactly been that well received.
I concur.
I mean, you look at the past Assassin's Creed movie that recently came out. That made a lot of people kind of sad and a little angry at the same time.
And roll their eyes at.
Yeah. I think maybe one of the most
questionable.
Well, I was going to say profitable. Might have been Tomb Raider.
I think Tomb Raider, because they did like 2 or 3 movies of those. So that movie, that franchise, and they're rebooting it.
Right.
So that franchise is probably the most successful.
And I mean that one. I mean, we can kind of guess why. I mean, they had Angelina Jolie. She was in top form.
I'm gonna say it. It's a great story. However, it's Indiana Jones with boobs. Like the end.
That's real. I mean, the whole game was kind of centered around that.
Yeah, and I mean, it just. And I'm not taking away from the developers of Tomb Raider. It was a very different story in a modern context, but that's why people were attracted to it. It's Indiana Jones with boobs. And it's still a fun game. Really fun games,
especially the most recent ones. She's a little bit more realistic, so she's not overly exaggerated.
You mean she doesn't have the pointy boobs that are bigger than her head in these games?
No, she's actually anatomically accurate, I would say.
What?
And it's a little bit more story driven.
What?
So I mean, I feel like Tomb Raider literally took a little bit of a concept from Uncharted and boom.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that.
I mean, jumping back over to Uncharted, what was it? It first came out in about, I think, 2007.
Yeah.
And the first game, Drake's Fortune, absolutely fantastic. Now, the rumors are with this Uncharted movie, it has nothing to do with the games.
That's what I heard. I heard it's like not necessarily a prequel, but it's kind of like a filler between some of the games.
Yeah, I mean, that's the rumor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are other rumors out there, other unverified sources. But as far as we know right now, a young Nathan Drake, first time we ever saw young Nathan Drake, I believe, was in Uncharted 3. And that's where he's basically running around South America. And he just starts telling everyone, hey, I'm Nathan. And then last name, Drake. Well, Francis Drake never had any kids that you know of. So
yeah, I mean, like I'm down to see what this is, casting wise, look wise. I think Tom Holland can pull it off. Look wise, I agree.
Yeah,
that's what young Nathan Drake looks like. But it's like I'm more concerned about the story than the actor.
Yeah,
And
then also, I mean, I'm not 100% on this. The director, Sean Levi, or Levy.
He's done well. He did Real Steel.
Yeah,
like
he did Real Steel.
You saw Real Steel?
I did not see Real Steel, but I did see The Internship, and I saw Night at the Museum, and also Night at the Museum Battle with the Smithsonian.
Like I didn't like the second Night at the Museum. I liked the first one.
Yes,
I liked The Internship a lot more than I thought I would, and I loved Real Steel.
But see, with at least 3 of the 4 movies that we just talked about,
they're not known for being great.
Well, they're not known for being, let's say, action and adventure. They're mostly, like, I would say, potentially comedies. And Uncharted isn't necessarily supposed to be a comedy. It's supposed to be a little bit more action, adventure, and maybe a little bit of fantasy thrown in there.
Okay.
So,
well,
I mean...
Still, I think he, based off of the way that Real Steel was shot at the very least, and the Night at the Museums, he knows how to shoot action, he knows how to shoot CG stuff, and like those alone makes me feel like he knows what he's doing. The only thing I'm worried about is story, because you can get the best director out there, and if he doesn't have a good script, and the best actors out there, and if they don't have good scripts, they can't deliver.
Yes. My biggest hope is that maybe the director pairs up with Naughty Dog and talks to their writers and says, hey, give us a story.
What do you want to do?
Exactly.
Story-wise, what do you want?
Because if they can get an original story from the people that actually did Uncharted, I mean, I would feel a lot better about it, especially if they're saying that it has nothing to do with the games, because Uncharted is actually one of my very favorite games. Yeah. And I would like I like Assassin's Creed. I was super sad when I was told that Assassin's Creed was a really big failure, and I was kind of like, damn.
I don't think it was a really big failure. It didn't make money. The end. And some movies that you would think would have been great financially aren't. So we'll get into that. Where I'm going. That's a hint towards the Pirates coming up at the end of the episode. So we'll talk about that later. But we are happy to say that people out at Phoenix Comicon are fine after an armed gunman was arrested on Thursday at the con, first day of the con. He was armed with multiple guns. He's in police custody. 30-year-old Valley man was taken into custody Thursday afternoon. He allegedly posted on social media that he planned to kill Phoenix police officers at the con.
Wow.
And according to officials, he posted pictures of himself and officers that he was looking to take out at the con. Officials got him at the con at the Phoenix Convention Center. He had 3 handguns, a shotgun, knives, and ammunition on him. And he was also wearing body armor, dressed up as Rambo.
Oh, my goodness.
And they found him. They found everything. He's in jail right now. Good. And unfortunately, what did this mean for cosplayers at the con? It meant ultimately that no fake weapons of any kind were allowed. And also the sale of fake weapons and body armor and toys were unfortunately halted at the con as well, which, good call. It just sucks that one crazy bastard has to ruin it for everybody, but it's a good call. And police were stepped up.
I was going to say that, I mean, in order to secure everybody's safety, I mean, you don't want to, of course, you don't want to ruin everyone's good time.
No.
However, you also don't want to be like, oh, okay, well, we're still going to allow this, and then something happens, because then it kind of falls on you because you eventually made the call to where it's like, oh, well, we're going to let this pass. And so it's really just better to be safe than sorry. And I mean, unfortunately, yes, it does ruin it for everybody else, but trust me, there's plenty of cosplays you could do out there that don't require weapons.
Yeah, and every con I've ever gone to, there's been an extensive check process to make sure that that's a fake gun, and they usually put some type of neon bright tag on that gun. Right. Like if it's a gun or a fake sword, they'll have like a neon wristband thing that they wrap around the tip to let people know, hey, this is fake, it was checked. And every entrance I've ever gone into at any con ever, and I've been to a couple dozen cons, probably more in my life, and every single one of them have security guards posted at the entrance looking for, weapons of some kind, that kind of stuff. And it's always checked. And even like me walking through with like a microphone in my hand, they check me. They hey, that's a microphone. Yeah, that's a microphone. Yeah. Okay, cool. Like, they check, and I feel perfectly fine with that. And I know people have an issue. Like, people have an issue walking through metal detectors and having their bag searched. I don't. No, I don't necessarily like my stuff being, messed with, but I don't care because I ultimately don't have anything to hide.
Exactly. And I mean, I know there's some people that are just saying like, well, it's not the fact that I have anything to hide. It's just the fact that I don't want my stuff touched, or I don't want someone to be looking at. But the thing is that you've got to realize that you're going to be in a public place to where there is a potential where people could be harmed in some sort of way. And I would rather feel safe knowing that someone is being checked, regardless of whether it's a 5-year-old, whether it's a 50-year-old. Yeah. Doesn't matter to me. Anyone that goes to a con should be checked because it is about safety. I mean, if we want to keep having these cons and these expos, then safety is of a paramount concern.
Yeah, I agree. And even like, that's just public events 101.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I go to Disneyland with my wife, we have passes. We have to open up our backpack and open every zipper in the backpack and walk through a metal detector. I have nothing to hide.
No.
I'm cool with that. And I'm fine with it. Do it. Here's my bag. You need me to open these zippers? Okay. You want to check this jacket? It's empty, but check it. Like, who cares?
I got a little bit of a funny story real quick.
Do it.
So there was a fair, and I was going through my Instagram, and the bag checkers at like LA County Fair type stuff.
Right.
Okay, so this guy's wearing a fanny pack, and the lady says, "Can you open the fanny pack?" And he's like, "Sure, no problem." He opens up his fanny pack, and she sees his dick just sticking right up. So I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, I did not need to see that.
I saw that. It was like, "Oh god."
So after that, like, he just started laughing.
Did our friend Sergio send you that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he sent it to me too.
So basically, it's like
he sends us penises.
Yeah, and people wonder why he's like gay or not.
Yeah, it's like he's questionably ambiguous. He keeps sending us penises. But the good thing about Phoenix Comicon is that no injuries were reported. So that's the cool part.
Another successful con in the books.
Yeah.
So WB announces another DC superhero girl series on Cartoon Network. Mm-hmm. Kind of excited about that, especially when I saw that what was her, Lauren Faust. Lauren Faust is behind it, and Lauren Faust. One of those shows that I was a huge fan of, Foster's Home of Imaginary Friends.
Yeah,
that one was the big winner for me.
What, you don't like her from
My Little Pony? No.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Ugh, I have a niece. I've watched way too many episodes of My Little Pony.
Yeah, I knew a guy that watched that almost like religiously. Like, it would come out on, I don't even remember the network that it was on.
I think it was on Cartoon Network. I just know it was on
My Little Pony?
Was it?
No. At least I don't think it was.
I don't know. But I know it was on Netflix. And my niece, whenever she would come over and I would watch her, I'd have to put it on. And this is before I got smart. I would open up my Netflix account,
Ah.
the Allen one, not my wife's, not another one, mine, and I would play My Little Pony on that. And about 6 months of watching her throughout the summer, one summer of watching that at least a couple times a week, had pretty much My Little Pony just showing up in my queue. Like, we recommend My Little Pony for you.
Yeah.
It
and
took
I mean,
2 fucking years for My Little Pony to get out of my queue.
I'm
2
not-
years.
I'm not gonna say anything bad about these people, but
No, it's fine. Like, it's not my cup of tea. If it's
Exactly,
your cup of tea,
that's-
go nuts.
exactly.
But I'm just annoyed because it's like, I didn't want My Little Pony in my queue.
no. I'd
Like, I have Arrow. I have Flash.
Yeah.
I have, what the fuck else is in there? The Ranch is in my queue.
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. They're not on Netflix, but they will be there once they're there.
I cannot
know?
wait until they're on Netflix.
Yeah.
So
They'll be there soon.
They're on season 3 right now. Super good show.
When's episode 2 playing?
Episode 2 should be playing this coming weekend.
I hope, because the first one came out April Fool's weekend, and guess what? Crickets. It's been 2 fucking months.
Yeah.
Give me
and
another
it's-
fucking episode, Rick.
I mean, they've
And give me some fucking Szechuan sauce. I need my sauce, Morty. Gotta go in my head and have it in there. I'm excited because back to the DC superheroes. This has been a series of shorts on Cartoon
Right.
Network, and I've seen a few of them, like waiting for a movie or a movie ending kind of stuff, and like they look fine. My thing is like I feel like it's not as creative with the name DC Superhero Girls. Like
Yeah.
like girl power or something more creative.
But see, also one of the things that I am kind of concerned about is these were like hidden gems. Like they were just little 5-minute shorts or something like that. Now, assuming that a 5-minute short was all that was needed in order to attract you and potentially satisfy you for that one little episode. Now they're going to expand it to a potential half hour.
I don't know this for a fact because I'm thumbing through the release here. I'm not seeing anything, but I like what they did with Justice League Action. Where it's a 15-minute short, and it's literally lives up to the name. It's story, action, 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 fighting, 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 and that's probably what this is. Because cartoons now, they're going to that 15-minute format.
Yeah.
Where it's a 15-minute episode. Here you go, no commercials, and I think it works better programming wise for the networks, but it also works better wise story.
Yeah.
And if that's what they're doing, it'll be great because you could put Justice League Action and this show back to back.
I was
going to
say
block.
that actually sounds really cool because I remember back in the day when I would watch Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry, they were like 15-minute cartoons, and for the most part, it would be Tom and Jerry, and then all of a sudden you'd have, I don't know, a Mickey Mouse cartoon or a Bugs Bunny cartoon right afterwards.
Yeah, and you just, okay.
Yeah.
I'll sit here, I'll watch
Loved
this.
it.
Yeah, it was perfect. But yeah, there's, to my knowledge, no actual date for this one yet, but based on this announcement, I would say sometime next year. Because it does take a while to do these shows, by the way.
Right.
For all you impatient internet peoples, you.
Like with me and Young Justice.
Dude.
I got to bring up Young Justice.
Twiddling my thumbs, just waiting
I know,
for
I'm
season
just
3.
kind of like...
Like, the thing that I'm doing that is both filling my void / getting me agitated
Right.
is I'm watching the series. I keep watching it. And
Angrily masturbating?
Besides that, I'm married, damn it.
Doesn't mean you can't.
This is true. I do I listen to Whelmed, the Young Justice podcast. Very well done show. Great guests, great discussion on there about the show. So they'll take like one episode of the show, one 30-minute episode, and do a 1-hour podcast about it. And it is extremely detailed, and I'm sitting there thinking about the characters, like thinking about the story, the plot, and everything, and it's like, oh God, I need more. I need more. I need new ones. I need new ones. I need more. Oh God, it's not helping.
I really
High whelmed podcast. I
really
love you guys.
I really want
more.
to see what is going. Like, we heard their theories.
Yeah.
But
and we said ours in an episode not too long ago.
I really want it to be cemented by...
You just want a trailer.
Yes, I do.
You just want a trailer and you need your dick.
Give me a little. I mean,
You need a little dick.
Yes.
Just to tide me over. Give me a little dick.
I mean, I'm not going to be a fan if they make him go with the red outfit, but I'll take it if that's all they're going to give me.
The big change with Dick. He went red. He hung up the blue.
He's not a fucking Robin.
Oh, man. So, let's get into our Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales review. So, if you have not seen Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales, you're going to want to hit the pause button because we are going to get spoilery in 5, 4,
3,
2,
1.
Spoilers!
Yay!
Okay, so Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell No Tales.
It opened up with a kid tying a rope around his ankle and then throwing rocks over.
I'm sitting there going, fuck, they're going dark.
I was thinking to myself, like, oh my God, like, is this that same scene that, like, that kid gets hung in the very beginning?
Right? Like, that was dark as fuck, but then, like, and he's singing and it's all ominous and it's like, fuck, we're going dark again. What the fuck?
So, and then it's like all of a sudden the kid ends up on a boat underwater and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God.
It's Daddy.
Exactly. So I'm like, wait, so what's his name? I couldn't remember his name. So then all of a sudden they're like,
Will Turner.
Yeah. Well, then they're like, Henry, what are you doing here? I'm like, fuck. That's how you know you're grounded.
Right? Henry, are you trying to commit suicide again? Or do you just want to come visit Daddy? By the way, if you miss the boat, fuck. You're really grounded at that point, like for eternity.
He just walks up to his kid at the bottom of the ocean. Do you feel death?
Just like, can you imagine Daddy walking up and just looking at him like, you done fucked up, kid. You done fucked up.
Does a slow clap underwater.
Can you clap underwater? I don't think so. It's more like...
No.
Like, that's what it sounds like.
I mean, it's Pirates of the Caribbean.
There's explosions at like when ships get eaten, instead of them just crumbling and crackling, there's a gigantic fucking explosion for no reason.
I mean, I didn't know that we had Michael Bay in this film.
I know. So let's get into it character by character. Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow, his 5th time back. Fuck.
I have a question.
Sure.
In the very first movies, he was not blonde, and now
he went blonde. That made no sense to me, too.
I didn't get it either. Like, I understand. I understand that, like, when you potentially bleach your hair, basically the sun does make it go a little bit blonder than you expect. However, did they have bleach back then?
My theory is this. My theory is that he's getting older, and before he goes white with the hair, it goes blonde, but still that makes no sense. Not really.
Maybe he had a lot of orange juice.
Maybe.
Prevent the scurvy.
It just doesn't make sense to me because Jack should be... In the next movie, he's an old man. They even made fun of it in this movie. Like when he walks into the bar and there's a wanted poster with like the reward crossed out till the point where it's $1. It's like, yeah, nobody cares about Jack Sparrow anymore. It even got meta. Like in the real world, nobody cares about Sparrow. Yeah. I remember... when the third Pirates movie came out, that movie opened to 100 million plus opening weekend, and that was back in 2007. Back in 2017, this movie, we don't have the final numbers, but it's in the neighborhood of 80 mil.
Yeah,
for opening weekend on Memorial Day,
and
that's really bad.
The first movie that came out for Pirates, I was so jazzed to see it.
Oh no, the first one was awesome. The first one was awesome. The second one. Okay, where are you going with this?
Like it did kind of like let me down a little bit, but the third one, I was kind of, I was back on board.
You're wrong.
I was back on board because I liked it.
The third one had him on LSD in the dream sequence where it's just his fucking nose.
That's why I thought it was hilarious.
Like that was like a good 10-minute scene of his nose. It's like, dude, I get that he's dead and he's like hallucinating, doesn't know what's real, but that doesn't mean I have to feel like I don't know what the fuck is going on. Come on.
I think that's what they wanted to do. They wanted you to basically, they wanted you to identify with Jack because it's like he doesn't know what the heck is going on, so they don't want you to know what's going on.
But then the crab thing, like moving the ship.
Well, the whole crab thing was tied together with Calypso.
didn't make sense. It was fucking insane. And then you had Calypso, who became this giant woman who became crabs and went into the sea, and it made no sense, the third one. The fourth one was just forgettable.
Yeah, the fourth one, unfortunately, I fell asleep in.
I did too.
Yeah.
I've tried to watch that movie like 5 times. I've paid for it on my TV. I've gone, okay, got the energy drink, got the popcorn. I'm sitting here in the dark, gonna watch this movie. It's gonna be...
Sorry, what is saying something?
I'm not. Were you still talking? Like, literally, you had... I feel like Jack represents the audience, or at least this version of Jack was very meta, because you had him doing anything to grab people's attention.
See,
he's even asking people in the movie for money. That's how desperate Disney is to make money on pirates now.
See, the interesting thing is that when Johnny Depp was playing Jack in this one, I didn't see a lot of Jack. I actually saw a lot of like Willy Wonka or Mad Hatter.
Yeah, I did too, and I think he's lost his grip on the character. I think he's.
I don't see. This is what I think. I think he may have purposely done that because maybe he's done playing the role.
I don't know. I think he's on board for as long as they want him, because this movie cost $230-ish million to make, I think was the ballpark figure estimated, and a lot of that was him. Like he's made well over $300 million on the Pirates franchise, and he's broke. Like Johnny Depp is financially broke because he spent it all. What the fuck do you spend? And that's not including his other Disney franchises. So what the fuck is he spending $300 million on in the last 15 years? I want to know. But he's insane. I don't like Johnny Depp as a person. He beats his wife. He beat his ex-wife mercilessly, and he blows $300 million on a regular basis. And I think that hurt him. And Disney desperately wanted people to forget the fact that he's a drunk who beats his wife and spends money on bullshit, which is why they put him on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and filmed it. They desperately wanted people to forget that he's Johnny Depp.
I think what it is that when he first came on for the Pirates thing, he was a huge moneymaker because he is Johnny Depp. And now that time has kind of gone by, I kind of want to say that star's kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, like you even got that in the film, like I said, with the money thing on his head being worth nothing, with him kind of being this pirate out of place in the world at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
And yet you have Henry Turner who's looking for him.
Yeah.
And even he says, "You're Jack?"
Yeah.
No,
and
you're not Jack.
And he's kind of let down. And Henry. Let's get into that.
Yeah, Henry was great. I loved this character. I loved his story of trying to save his father. Like, it was a very noble story.
I was going to say it's already been done.
In the first one.
No, it was done in the second and then the third.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we already had Will trying to save we already had Will trying to save his dad.
Yeah.
And then they almost kind of came full circle with this one. So
yeah.
And I mean, the previews are saying the final adventure. And I mean, granted, we've heard talks that
Johnny has 2 more pirate movies on his contract.
Exactly.
Whether or not Disney picks him up and says, yes, we're doing that, we don't know. But I think that them putting the final on this one is the marketing department's way of getting people to come to this one. And if it was received well financially, just kidding, we're going to do another one.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, which it didn't, then they can say, yeah, that was the last one. We're done.
I'm kind of wondering if they do another one, if they're ever going to revisit the 2 characters, the mermaid and that other guy that was a potential replacement for Will in, what was it, the 4th one? And then if they would even pick it up with Henry again.
I think that they will pick it up with Henry because, and spoilers, at the end of this one, obviously he frees his father, and his father and mother are reunited, and Keira Knightley has the world's most expensive cameo at the very end there, and the post-credit scene sets up for Davy Jones being back, which pisses me off.
Yeah, that one was kind of upsetting.
Well, we're jumping ahead here. Yeah. Let's get back to it. I loved Captain Salazar. I loved his look and the feel. His crew, I loved and hated, because I loved the fact that like their skin and their bones were just fading away, yet they were ghostly still there as spirits. That made sense. But when it's just a hand with a sword and a pirate's hat,
I was going to say
makes no
that
sense.
Some of the crew, this is why I was saying that it kind of came full circle. They were saying in the very first movie that basically the dead have come.
Yeah,
and that was
just like the first one.
Exactly. That was Captain Barbossa, the Black Pearl, and the crew is basically a bunch of skeletons when they're running in the moonlight. And they were running under the water. Okay, so now they have Captain Salazar, and his crew is kind of ghostly.
And they run on top of the water this time.
Exactly, but they're still the dead.
Yeah.
So,
and even in the first one, it was a boy named Turner breaking out Captain Jack from a jail cell to take Jack elsewhere to go save his father. Or to save the girl in the first one, his father in this one. So this one is like a Frankenstein of the first three put together.
A little bit,
and over 10 years later, it's essentially a remake of the first one.
Yeah.
And I like Salazar. It made no sense why he was cursed to be a ghost.
Yeah.
What was the explanation? He filled me with hate.
Well, he went into the Devil's Triangle, but I don't think there was a fully fleshed out explanation of what the Devil's Triangle really was. I mean,
there wasn't.
We got the sense that it was otherworldly and that it was someplace that pirates don't want to go into, but apparently it was only a housing of something, and then when the compass was betrayed, it just fell apart. That didn't make sense.
That made zero, the compass thing made zero sense to me too. Like, why is the compass, important to these spirits who never had the compass, never wanted the compass? Like, they wanted the compass, but they didn't explain that.
I feel like there was a little bit more of a story that went along with the compass, because I was expecting to see that maybe Salazar had the compass.
Yeah.
He lost it somehow, Jack got it, and then somehow that became the key to locking them away in the Devil's Triangle.
Yeah, I was expecting something like that. I was even expecting, once they get the compass, they become alive or something. Like, they break the curse. That made no sense. The thing with, the daughter using the stars, it kind of made sense to me.
Right.
But it's kind of a little far-fetched with the island thing. The thing about, Barbossa, Captain Hector Barbossa, I get that, he was Carolyn's, or whatever her name is, his daughter.
Karina.
Or Karina's father. But, the book that had all the knowledge of the stars and stuff, which inspired her to become an astronomer and a horologist. Did Barbossa know all that? And did he write it all down? Did he steal it from somebody? Had he been on the island? How did he... I
was going to say with
a million questions with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that are left unanswered with that, but I mean, at least my theory on that is literally that he's just a pirate. He saw a book with a giant ruby in it
and stole it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then basically he told Jack that he left it, and then he expected her to hawk the ruby so that way she could have a good life.
But then the thing, that made total sense to me, that he just stole it, and then at the end, in that dramatic moment, you look on his forearm and you see the tattoo, and it's that tattoo was 100% clearly the production staff going,
we have to tie them together
we
somehow.
need to see, physically tie them together somehow so that she can realize that it's her father without them saying it.
Yeah.
What do we do? Oh, just put a fucking tattoo on him. That's probably the thought process behind that tattoo.
Yeah.
It made no sense.
I really wish that there was another way that they could have potentially tied them together to where it's I don't know, Barbossa maybe didn't have to die, or maybe someone says something to where it's oh, well, you finally got to meet your father and he's already sailing away.
Yeah.
So that way...
That would have been a good end. I just think that Jeffrey Rush was
I'm done.
This is my 5th fucking movie. I'm done, guys.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. Because
he wasn't in number 2, because at that one, they were all still trying to say that he was dead.
That's true. This is his 4th one, technically. So you're right, but... Well, no, he was in the second one in the very, very last scene.
That's like the post-credit scene.
No, that was the very last scene. It fucking counts.
Oh my god. Like the most expensive cameo ever.
Exactly. But like the first scene with Captain Jack, I thought it was funny that he's drunkenly asleep in the safe.
Yeah.
That was funny. What didn't make sense to me, when the horses pulled the safe, why the fuck did the whole building move? Like, you're telling me that the horses were strong enough to pull the building off its foundation. However, it didn't the safe didn't burst through the wall.
It's very strong wood.
Like, the whole building is so well built that it comes off the foundation like butter, but it'll be drugged through town, breaking shit, knocking shit over, and be fine. But then it goes through a bridge and, oh, okay, now the safe will come out. Like, it made no sense. It made no fucking sense. It looked cool, but you're baffled by the lack of physics of it. You're just like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. This makes no fucking sense. And I was dumbfounded by it. Like, literally, they drug Johnny Depp kicking and screaming into this movie.
I feel like that scene was literally just there for the grandeur of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the most part, yes, it was entertaining. If you don't think about it and you don't look into it.
Yeah, if you suspend reality and story and character development and logic, this movie's fun.
Oh, by the way, we're talking about plot holes, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Oh, yeah. I was just like, my brain hurt the whole time watching this movie. So, no surprise, they get the trident, which seemed rushed to me in the movie.
A little bit.
They got down there, they got it, they broke it, and then they got out very quickly. The whole thing was rushed.
Like, it was just really convenient.
Yes, it was. And they broke all curses that the sea have ever been started at sea.
So, if they broke all curses, how come Davy Jones... And let's not say that Davy Jones was there, but his barnacles were there. Did they potentially? I mean, you could say that it was just a dream that that Will was having, and that the barnacles that were left on the floor were not Davy Jones. Potentially, they were his.
But that was totally Davy Jones.
Exactly.
I don't care what anybody tells me. That's Davy. That's a setup for Davy Jones in the next one, and it doesn't make sense because Davy Jones became Davy Jones because he was cursed. He was cursed, and then he didn't do what he was supposed to do for the curse, and he became more cursed. And the end. So he's cursed. So does the trident only remove one curse per person?
No, it says it removed all curses.
Exactly. And he was dead in the first place. You can't come back from the dead. Like,
well, I mean, unless Calypso basically kind of came in and was like, you're my slave now.
I'm over it. Out of 5 really dull, boring swords, what do you give this movie?
I'm going to give it a 2.
I got to give it a 2 as well. This is just it's a very good example of let's spend a lot of money and show you how much we can just spend money on making movies, but not actually putting thought into the story.
I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I would have been happy if they stopped at 3.
Because I would have been happy if they stopped at 1.
For the most part, when I was watching number 1, I was ready for the next one. Like, I wanted the next adventure.
Yeah.
Because, like, everyone was still on that pirate high.
Yeah, but...
And then at number 3, I kind of feel like it was already fizzling out.
I concur.
But, I mean, me personally, I was still on that pirate high.
Yeah.
So I was excited when number 4 came out. And then I saw number 4 and I was like, maybe they should have stopped at 3.
Like, this is a great example of 2 things. 1, cheap jokes, because all of Jack's liners were cheap jokes, and it was him being drunk. In the first pirate movie, which is what we loved about the character, it was him being cunning and...
Yes. That's exactly what he lost. Like,
and him being 2 steps ahead of his enemy.
Exactly, but he didn't act like it.
Exactly. Or at least acting crazy to throw people off of his genius.
Yes.
You don't have that in this movie. You have him drunkenly stumbling through this movie. And they've lost the character. They're way off the rails on the character. Johnny Depp cannot portray this character accurately anymore. And what he is portraying on screen as Captain Jack is a gigantic pile of dog shit that I don't want to see anymore. I'm done. And I think most of America is too, based off the numbers at the box office. Like, I remember going to a 7 o'clock showing of Pirates of the Caribbean back in the day. It was sold out.
Oh, yeah.
Weeks before the movie came out. Now, I went to my local theater. It wasn't even 30% full,
Right.
according to the theater. And every other one that night was less than 30% full.
Yeah.
Do people not care that much? Apparently not. They're done with pirates. And they need to... And what makes it worse is Jerry Bruckheimer, who's produced every Pirates movies so far, came out and said that Pirates of the Caribbean won't exist if Johnny Depp isn't involved. He's what's holding it back.
I was going to say that potentially he might be saying this in order to give himself an out, because maybe he knows that Johnny Depp is done playing this character. That's why I was saying earlier
that
that maybe Johnny Depp played this character a certain way on purpose, so that way basically they say, okay, you're doing a bad job, you're done. And he's like, that was my plan, bitches.
I mean, you look at the other movie that he was in, another Disney movie, he was in The Lone Ranger.
Right.
That movie bombed.
Yeah.
No one cared. Like, it was a decent movie.
I was going to
Wasn't
say,
great.
Unfortunately, no one knows who the Lone Ranger is.
No, people know who the Lone Ranger is. It's just no one cares. No one cares about the Lone Ranger anymore. And the fact that you had Johnny Depp playing a Native American was just dog shit, and people saw right through it.
Yeah.
And Disney lost their ass on that movie. They're going to lose their ass on this movie. They didn't even make enough at the box office this weekend to pay Johnny Depp, let alone the rest of the movie. So they're taking a huge hit on this one.
Yeah.
More Star Wars, less pirates, period.
So I just hope that Star Wars never gets to where Pirates is.
No, because you have new people coming in, and Star Wars is bigger than one actor.
Yeah.
They're relying on one washed-up actor in this Pirates movie, and it can tell this is a washed-up garbage pile of a movie, and that's ultimately what it is. And if you disagree with me, I'm sorry, but that's my opinion.
You can write your comments and be entered into our monthly giveaway.
Well, let's do this. Subscribe to us. Subscribe, rate us, and comment us on iTunes, Google Play, and on Stitcher and YouTube as well in order to be entered into our monthly contest. Our winners are going to be announced in episode 130. It's our next episode. So get them in now. Get him in now.
And the next episode, I believe we're going to be doing TV Talks.
TV talk, it's a talk.
So we will go over the season finales of, what is it? Arrow,
Flash, Supergirl, Archer.
Yeah.
And what did I see? I saw Designated Survivors.
Very nice.
I'm fully caught up on Designated Survivor. I like it. There's another one.
Is it back on top for you?
Yeah.
Nice.
It was good. I wish I lived in that America, which is very fucked up because in that America, all of our government was literally blown to smithereens.
However, President Jack Bauer.
Exactly. I mean, President Tom Kirkman.
There you go.
Which is, by the way, a very American name. Tom Kirkman.
Kirkman, yeah.
Yeah, Tom Kirkman. President
It's
of
almost
the
like
United
Hank
States.
Hill.
We're done. We've gone almost an hour. We're outie.
Dunsky.
We're Dunsky. So, to all of our servicemen and women who have served and ever have, who have ever served and ever will, currently serve. Hang on, I'm gonna figure this out. Have ever served, currently serving, or ever will serve. Thank you so much for your service. Very, very much. We greatly appreciate it. And for everyone here at the Nerdgasm podcast, I'm going to learn English eventually. I'm Alan Bailey.
I'm Grayson.
Bye, nerds.
Later.
Well, that was another in a long series of regrettable life choices.